Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Agin. So this is Q&A with Dr. A. Have a good topic today. So I hope that we can kind of turn this into a really good discussion. But as you know, February is the month of love and the month of Valentine's Day. And from a health and wellness perspective, I'm going to try to bring that the whole concept of Valentine's Day and what it means, and try to really more turn it into a discussion about self-improvement in relationships and happiness. And so you kind of, because if you look at Valentine's Day, and again, I'm going to probably share some of my own feelings about Valentine's Day, but I don't want it to be taken as this is my opinion, but yet just really to stir the discussion. Because when you dive deep into Valentine's Day and you look at how it was created, and you look at how many people have different versions of what they feel Valentine's Day means, and then if you try digging into the history of how Valentine's Day came about, oh man, you're going to find so many different interpretations that it's kind of odd. But some of the interpretations are actually very dark, and how it turned into something about love is kind of odd. But regardless, where we are today is that Valentine's Day is supposed to be some sort of a indication of sharing love and romance and relationships, feelings with a partner or even family, someone, just showing love. So it's really about love. But when you, again, looking at the history, and then also as a family medicine doctor, I've gotten to hear a lot of things from friends, family, patients, everyone, about Valentine's Day and how they feel. Some feel it's just commercialized and it's just another day. But ultimately, that kind of brings up the point is that, from my opinion, I just really understand it. There's one day that you're supposed to celebrate love, and I get it. So yeah, it's a reminder that you should tell some people that mean a lot to you that you love them and that you care for them. I get that, but that really, in a true solid relationship, that's something that you feel all the time. So when I think about it, I usually I would look at it this way: as Valentine's Day is approaching, you'd really have to look and say, what does that day mean to you? As it's coming, as it's getting really close, what is going on in your mind? What is going on in your head? What exactly are you thinking? And are you thinking the same as your partner or other people? What are they thinking as this day gets closer to us? And so, just my own experiences by listening to patients and hearing stories, there are some amazing Valentine's Day stories, but there are a lot of them that aren't quite so lovely. And I think what that means is that as you start trying to internalize what Valentine's Day means to you, it's really coming down to what situation you are in. Are you single? Are you in a relationship? Are you in a happy relationship? Because I can break it down to where this brings the discussion into where it comes to health and wellness is, I have people that look at as that day approaches is, oh wow, Valentine's Day, it's getting close. You know what that means? I might get to have sex that day. And so that really kind of means that if they're looking that forward to a day that they might get to have sex, that means that they're not having sex very often. Then on the flip side of that, there are people that are like, oh crap, Valentine's Day's coming, I'm going to have sex that day. Well, there's some problems with that too. If there's a day that means you're not having a lot of sex, and there's a day that you might actually sound like you'd have to be forced to have sex, which also makes that probably, you could look into that as having some problems. Then there's some people that, don't even think about Valentine's Day, but also don't even think about each other just because they're like, we're not going to spend any money, we're not going to do anything. But they also really don't even think about each other that day. There's problems with that. But then ultimately there are people out there that look at Valentine's Day and say, hey, great, it's another day, but they're super happy. And the reason they don't think of Valentine's Day is because they really feel happy and loving all the time, and they share that in a really beautiful relationship. And I think that's all what everyone would want to see, but for others, they think they can look back and think of bad relationships or relationships they regret or resent that they lost. And then there's people that are single that don't really have anything to do except maybe they're going to go out and see if they can't find a loved one. So you can see there's a lot of different interpretations and things that can go into your head as you start thinking about Valentine's Day. But the most important thing is happiness. I mean, that's what love is about. I mean, you really can't associate love and a great relationship and think of those and not put happiness into that factor. If you're really looking at Valentine's Day, you're like, oh, I love Valentine's Day. I can't wait to go out with my partner, and you're just so excited because you're so happy and you're going to have an amazing night. Then that's great. But when you kind of look at what Valentine's Day means in at least America, it usually involves some traditional approaches, which is you get flowers and candy. A lot of times you battle restaurant reservations just to see if you can't take someone to dinner and spend money. And it really should be less about money and following what you think everyone should be doing, and instead just thinking about basically happiness. I mean, this day should be really about whatever makes you happy, not what you think you're supposed to do. And the most important part about it is not spending money, but it's spending time. So whoever and whatever you're going to do on Valentine's Day really comes down to who you're choosing to spend time with. And although time is free per se, it's actually the most important and valuable asset that we have. And so who you're deciding to spend the time really means the most. And so that really is what triggers in your brain of what am I going to do on Valentine's Day? And as this day approaches, what's going on in your head? And you should be thinking, who am I going to be spending time with? How am I going to spend that time? And that should bring up all the questions you have. So if you're in a relationship and Valentine's coming, you should be thinking of it that way. What am I going to do with my time? You don't have to do what everybody does. You should do what makes you and your partner happy, or you happy if you're alone, and think of it that way. And so when you start to get these thoughts in your head of why Valentine's Day might bring you stress or might make you really happy, or might not make you so happy, you need to think of why. And so when you have people on this day that don't want to have sex or are looking forward to having sex, you got to think of if that's what pops into your individual head, then you got to think of what can you do to improve that. What can you do to make next Valentine's Day bring a different thought into your head that might be more positive or more centered around happiness. And so you can look at Valentine's Day as that when you start to really think about what it means to you in your certain circumstances, is then think about, okay, well then what can I do to make this one special? And which really comes down to, again, time. What are you going to do with this Valentine's Day? And if something positive doesn't pop in your head as Valentine's Day approaches, then you got to do a little bit of a self-analyzation and saying, okay, well, what do I need to do to fix that? Because we always should be trying to be better versions of ourselves. And if you're in a relationship, that relationship should make you a better person too. That's the beauty of relationships, of good relationships, the ones that are happy, is that both people are getting something positive out of it. Relationships should make people better. If they don't make you a better person, then you're in the wrong relationship. And so that's really what comes in, is you first have to figure out what is going through your head as Valentine's Day approaches for you. And then if you're in a relationship, then you really have to think of that, not selfishly, but thinking about what that means in the relationship. And so this brings opportunities for people. If you're not looking forward to Valentine's Day or having that love and relationship time, then what can you do to improve that next year? If you're not happy with your body, if you're not happy with, if you're having pain with sex because you have vaginal dryness, if you can't get erections and you're almost embarrassed about that day because you're worried if you're going to be able to perform, there are solutions for that. So that's where you can take this, whatever pops in your head, and kind of think going, okay, well, can I correct that? Can I make a difference so that I don't go, on this day that's supposed to be so amazing, especially in relationships or even just in general life, is about love and happiness. Then you got to think, why aren't you happy? Why is this day causing you stress? And then seeing if there's something you can do to fix it. And so, so Valentine's Day, can also bring up these situations where, people kind of can look back and go, God, I hate Valentine's Day, and this has been happening for 5 years. And so if you're looking at Valentine's Day and you're in a relationship and you can't stand Valentine's Day because of certain circumstances, and you're 5 Valentine's days into that, then you got to start saying, well, you're doing something, they have that definition of insanity where you're doing something over and over and over and not getting the same result. If that's really the way you're looking at this day that's supposed to be a celebration of love, then you really got to look hard at ways that you can either improve your relationship, improve yourself, or obviously have some discussions about really if this relationship is good. I know that's dark and maybe not the best conversation when you're talking about a loving day, but when that day is supposed to be a happy day, then that's exactly what we all should expect out of our lives. Because again, remember what I said, time is the most important asset. And if you are wasting another Valentine's Day unhappy, not happy about who you're with or what you're going to do, and you're looking at it that way, then that means you need to make change. So from the health and wellness perspective, that means that depending on what comes into your mind as you approach Valentine's Day, you should be looking at solutions. You should be looking at how you can make that day the best you can and how you can make the best use of your time, which doesn't mean you have to spend money. Experiences don't need to cost anything. It's really, what are you going to do to celebrate love, celebrate the relationship, and use it in the best fashion. And so, for example, you don't have to just go out with random people because you might find better use of your time being with your family or going and spending time with your parents. So just don't take this day that is supposed to just be a reminder of love and making it be a stress. It shouldn't be a stress. It should be a day of happiness. And if all you do is think of it that way, it's going to change the way you think, and at least set some goals for yourself to not have the same Valentine's Day next year, unless this one and previous ones were really ideal. It's not saying you can't go out to dinner and enjoy yourself. If that's what makes you happy, do it. But you don't have to follow in line with what everyone else does. You can be creative. You can really look at what are some activities that you and your partner want to do, and focus on those. And so, but from the other part of wellness is that, you can never really be the best contributor to a relationship until you're really, really happy with yourself. And so self-love on Valentine's Day should still be something that you consider and you really look at, because you might completely look at your relationship and Valentine's Days differently when you're really content and happy with yourself. And so you control the one thing you can control, and that's making sure you are in the best situation, that you're trying to be the best partner, so that you can you can look to have a good celebration. But so I'm not putting down Valentine's Day by any means. I think it's a good reminder every time Valentine's Day comes up of just about looking to see, do you have love in your life? Do you have happiness in your life? And if you don't, you really have to start looking hard at why that is and start making changes so that you can look at that day when it approaches and be happy, just of sitting there saying, oh, Valentine's Day is coming. All right, well, this is a great day, but you know what? I'm happy. My relationship's great. And then you guys can, obviously decide how you want to spend that time. So for those that are having amazing Valentine's Days, you guys have great plans, and you are going to be going out and doing fun things. Just remember that that there are others that might not have that same situation, and so for others, just remember there are solutions for everything. You can to make days special and happy, and so that's kind of where the health and wellness component of it comes in for me, is because I do help people that may not look forward to Valentine's Days because of certain sexual performance problems, or if they're not happy with their weight, they don't like being out of clothes, and don't have the stamina, or don't have the confidence to go out and meet someone. There are solutions for all those things, and so don't hesitate to start acting. And I know we're really close to Valentine's Day now, so just use this conversation as just as I discussed. Just think into your head what pops in your head when someone mentions the word Valentine's Day, and see what it stimulates you thinking, and then use that to make change. And that's what I always tell people. Happiness is not given, it is something that you create. And to create something, that means you have to actually change or influence happiness. And so that is really the take-home message, is that Valentine's Day is about love. Love is about happiness. And this day should be just about sharing and being happy with the people that you care about, because that is what you should do with your time. If just from a sexual health and wellness perspective, just remember we did launch a new website. This has been a long process for trying to make the whole process for wellness-based products, including lifestyle sexual health products, available to people, accessible to people that need it, in a affordable and very discreet way. So we finally launched this website. It's really smooth. It's really it's a really nice way for managing these therapies. And we also have a sale on sexual health products. It's using the code SH30. So again, if you look at Valentine's Day differently, I hope, because this does not have to be something that is routine. It shouldn't be rehearsed. It shouldn't be something that you're doing just because you think you have to. This should be something that you want to do, and this should be something that all is about how you're going to spend your time and your partner's time in the best fashion. So again, if it's not this year, make next year your year. There's a lot of things you can do very quickly to make yourself a better version of yourself for the future. And but on this Valentine's Day, I wish everybody happiness and love, and make sure you spend it wisely. Thank you.